How would you characterize where U.S. firms are as far as being up to speed on MiFIR transaction reporting?
So I think the impact and the awareness of US can be sort of categorized in two ways. So one is it's clearly more difficult because it's a European regulation, doesn't touch you in your home base. So there is a bit of education, coming up to speed, figuring out your requirements and what it is that you need to do. On the flip side, a lot of our clients are large US-based tier 1 banks. And those banks run international operations with reporting requirements and compliance requirements across the globe. So some of our requirements a year ago or a year and a half ago have been driven by progressive, forward-thinking US banks.
So what, in your opinion, is the biggest challenge for U.S. firms in meeting the MiFIR and the market abuse regulation requirements?
Again, I think the challenge is twofold. So one deals with just acquiring all of the data that's necessary, especially the personal information that's needed. So if you're a US firm, perhaps your trading desk is here in the US, but you're trading on a European market with a European equity. That transaction is now reportable, which means the personal information of the people in the US that are involved in that transaction needs to be packaged and provided to European regulators. Sharing personal information outside of the borders of the US clearly has some legal and compliance implications. And I think those need to be thought through carefully. The people need to be asked for consent to be able to share that information, et cetera, et cetera. So just getting the legal framework in place to collect the data that's needed, I think, is a challenge.
If firms do revamp their IT infrastructures for MiFID II and MiFIR, will they be able to apply this new infrastructure to other regulatory concerns? So could there be some regulatory synergies?
Absolutely. And again, let me go back to the large US firms that kind of drove our development initially. I think because MiFIR got delayed for a year, a lot of the larger firms had the time to just kind of step back a little bit and say, hey, rather than doing another tactical project where we throw people and resources at yet another regulation, can we step back and do it smarter? And so a lot of the firms have now set up data warehouses and data buses to collect all of this trade information from across the globe into one golden source of data. And now they can use that golden source and they can use the policies and procedures around the governance of that data to fulfill multiple regulations in multiple jurisdictions. So it doesn't just stop with Europe and European regulations. That same data can be used for your reporting obligations to Singapore and Australia, Dodd-Frank, Canada, etc., wherever that trade is actually taking place. The other bit is once you have all of that information in the same place, think of all the wonderful things you can do with it and all the insight you can get from that data. We talked a little bit earlier about that same data can be used for the purposes of market surveillance. You have a warehouse where every single trade that you've done and all the people who are involved in that trade are all collected together. So you can run all kinds of algorithms to make sure that you're not abusing the market. There's also insight in that data, both insight about your pattern as a firm and market insight, because you trade on multiple venues, you have different prices for the same securities, etc. So there's a wealth of information and intelligence that now sits in that data that can be accessed and provide additional value to the firm.